What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
All right. I think we are, excuse me, I think we're all set now. What is going on, everybody? Welcome into episode number 590 of Underground Sports Philadelphia, live from Underground Studios. It's KB and Matt coming at you. We got a lot to dive into from the Eagles, the Sixers, the Flyers, the Unions, absurd end to an absurd season, and whatever else may pop up during the episode. We'll talk about it. But before we get started, make sure you guys are following us on the socials at Underground PHI, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Facebook.com/UndergroundSportsPHI, Twitch.tv/UndergroundSportsPHI. You can follow Matt on Twitter at Matt Castorina. You can follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the podcast feed on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Send us your Spotify Wrapped. We want to see if we're potentially in them. I know I had a couple people text me that we ended up in their top 5, so that's pretty cool. Tweet at us, DM us, tag us in your Spotify Wraps. We want to see all that good stuff now that it is Spotify Wrapped season. And subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia. The more subscribers we get, the more we can do cool stuff and continue to create awesome content for you guys. It's where you get full video episodes of this show twice a week, every show on our network, clips, shorts, live streams, original video content. It's all on our YouTube channel. So go subscribe, youtube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia. Trying to get to 650 subscribers before December 1st. We're only 2 away. Let's make that happen tonight. Who knows? But go subscribe, youtube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia. And this show, of course, is presented by the City of Vineland. And the City of Vineland Municipal Calendar features city-organized, city-sponsored, and city-affiliated events that are of public interest. The calendar, which is accessible at vinelandcity.org, is a good way for residents and visitors to build awareness, remain engaged with city government, and participate in local events. You can also follow the City of Vineland on social media via their Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube pages. And through these tools, you can stay connected to the community and get important announcements about programs and services offered by the city. Vineland, New Jersey, where it's always a growing season. And big thank you to Security 21 Security Systems and Paul J. Gillespie Incorporated for their continued support of this podcast. Matt, what's going on, brother?
I'm living the dream.
It is another episode before another big Eagles game. It's brought to you by our awesome merch partners at PHI Apparel Company, the best in the game, and through the end of the month. This is good through the rest of November, so you got to act quick. Their Black Friday, Cyber Monday holiday sale is going on. If you want 15% off just one item, use code BlackFriday1 at phiapparel.co. If you want 20% off 2 items, use code BlackFriday2 at phiapparel.co. And if you want 30% off 3 or more items, use code BlackFriday3 for 30% off. They are our exclusive merch partners. They're the best in the game. If you want to stand out in the crowd at the tailgates, at Lincoln Financial Field, or any of the stadiums, the Wells Fargo Center, Citizens Bank Park, when baseball season rolls around, go to phiapparel.co. And at any time, you can use code UNDERGROUND for 10% off your order. It's the most effective and direct way to support us and everything we're doing here. So go get your merch and tag us when you get it. We want to see where you're rocking your merch from. phiapparel.co. Check out their holiday sales on their social media pages. It's 49ers week.
It is. This is like the halfway point of this tough run schedule that the Eagles are on, and they just keep passing the tests week by week. And this is the one, I think, besides the Chiefs game, that probably has the most emotion in it.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly one side, I think, has more emotion about this, which, I mean, deservedly so. Like, I understand why 49ers fans feel like there's a little bit more revenge in this game than Eagles fans feel, because for the entire second half of that NFC Championship game, the Eagles were just celebrating going to the Super Bowl, and the 49ers were left to stew and kind of think, what if, what if our starting quarterback, who only started because of our other starting quarterback got injured, didn't injure his UCL?
Who only started because the guy we drafted and traded 3 first-round picks for.
Well, that's what I was saying was Trey Lance,
Yeah.
Gets hurt, and then it's Garoppolo, and then it's like it's. So I get it. I get why. I would also, as a fan, be really upset and would kind of circle the next meeting between the two teams because it makes a lot of sense. But I think even beyond that, you don't even need, I think, the history between these two from last year. I think these have been, when healthy, really the only when the 49ers are healthy, they're the only team that I've seen in the NFC that I think are as good as the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's on both sides as well. But especially offensively, when Debo's been healthy, when everyone's been available, it's been an offense that's really just can kill you in so many ways, which is similar to the Eagles too. So I think it's a great matchup, and I am really, really looking forward to it. But it was a crazy, we talked about it. It was a crazy Bills game. I think we said it was going to be a high-scoring one, and, I think in a lot of ways, it delivered on all the promise, and I think it was, honestly, I think that might have been my game of the year. Maybe that's like recency bias, but for me, that was I think one of the better games that I've watched from start to finish all season so far.
Yeah, 100%. The rain element added in there, Jake Elliott nailing that field goal, that arguably best field goal of his career.
Oh, not even arguably. I think that is. I think
the 1-1A with his 61-yard game winner against the Giants in 2017, his rookie year.
Carson Wentz check game. Yeah, I think for a regular season moment, there's not a bigger kick, because the only way it would have been bigger if it won the game, right? Like that's really the only other path there. But yeah, I think just given everything, it was just really impressive. And I think what was great about it too is both teams, the Bills are really desperate for a win the entire time. It's just like Josh Allen is unbelievable. I think what was great about this game is it was two quarterbacks that I think there's maybe only one or two other guys that I think can give you the performance that Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen did. One of them is obviously Patrick Mahomes. Like he's, the only other guy that can just break a game on his own. And Lamar, I think, has the capacity to do this. But I don't think there's any other quarterback in the league that I've seen, especially when you consider that what Jalen and Josh and Lamar to an extent too do is, they're so good at both things, right? Like they're so dominant. I would say Josh Allen is probably the best passer of those three, but and they're all, and what I like about them too is they're all good runners in different ways too. Like they all have kind of different skill sets. Like Lamar is your highlight reel. We've all seen the stop. He's like that quick twitch kind of speed.
He's a human juke machine.
Right. Like honestly, he has unreal just kind of slipperiness, and Josh Allen has these great scramble plays. He just turns and he
runs like an elk.
He turns what would be a throwaway by virtually every other quarterback into a 19-yard game. He just has that ability, and it's really special. And Jalen Hurts is, I think, just super efficient. And he's just
strong.
Great design runner, super strong. I think sneaky strong too. Because he's pretty slight looking guy. He's not the biggest guy you've ever seen, but yeah, they're all a lot of fun to watch. And I thought that was the best thing was both quarterbacks, I think, really just dominant display. I think, if the Bills win this game, we're probably talking Josh Allen MVP stuff. We're talking about them being a sneak, no one wants to see this team, a wild card weekend. You still might not want to, if they can make the playoffs. But yeah, I thought it was a great game.
And the in-game and post-game drama too that has made its way to social media with Bills players approaching Eagles fans in the stands, and the Bills players posting on social media that the fans were making, quote, threatening remarks about their families, and then videos all across the board from that exact section sitting next to or right behind the person who was heckling the Bills players. There's absolutely none of that happening. And I think if anybody has ever been to Lincoln Financial Field for any event, they have an even higher than zero tolerance policy for any nefarious, poor behavior. I've seen people get kicked out for having their feet up on the chair in front of them.
Yeah.
If somebody is making threatening remarks about anyone's family, whether it's somebody in the stands or a player, you're gone. That's just how Lincoln Financial Field security works. And I just find it hilarious that his Twitter handle at Dr. Dutch Tweets just went on a whole deep dive like we did with Color Star and found all these videos on TikTok, on Instagram, and just absolutely put like a kibosh on any allegations these Bills players were making.
Yeah. Maybe things get misconstrued in like the heat of the moment. I think ultimately too, like, you can like heckle and stuff. I'm willing to accept that there might have been some gray area there. Who knows? Like it's hard to say. And I think people sometimes get a little alcohol in them and let the say things like we've seen that a lot across sports everywhere. So I don't know. I'm glad that hasn't become like a big part of this. I know like today I saw like clips talking about Jason Kelce was upset at one of the Bills players playing through the whistle and said he felt like he was intentionally trying to hurt Cam Jurgens. So that sucks, like that, that kind of have like that discussion out of what was just a really fun game. And two teams, I think, that just played at a really high level. And I think for the Bills, it's crushing. I can't they did everything to win this game except with 20 seconds left. The team that lobbied to get the rule changed in the playoffs, which I don't disagree with. I think it was always dumb that, like if you won the coin toss, you had an 80% chance of winning the game now. Like it's not really fair, but they had 20 seconds left. Timeouts. And you have Josh fucking Allen. Like the dude who's like, when he was drafted, right, there was a ton of questions about his like what he was going to be like. The one thing he had and has always had from day one was this dude has an insane arm. Insane. Like let him take 2 shots. What do you I did not care for that at all. I think kneeling down and just going to overtime there is bizarre.
Because you don't even games, win coward practice.
You didn't have to get a touchdown even. Like just get yourself try a field goal. Like, honestly. Like I know Tyler Bass didn't have a great day, but like I don't know. I was really surprised by that. So
I mean, you look at that overtime drive too, and everybody wants to just nitpick everything Jalen Hurts has done this year because he hasn't put up flashy numbers, but he puts wins in the win column. That overtime drive where he ends up scoring the game-winning touchdown, like I talked about it with Pat Pitts on the last episode, like that's a legacy drive for Jalen Hurts in his career. Like when it's all said and done for him, and like you look at some of the highlight reels of his career. That drive right there just showed the poise and confidence and just like cooler than the other side of the pillow type mentality that he has.
I saw a clip of them reacting. I shouldn't even say reacting. Them viewing the Jake Elliott field goal. And Jason Kelce barely reacted. He like sort of looked at it and then like nodded and turned like, okay, like that makes sense. You're kind of locked in. Like the game's not over, like you're just going to overtime. I thought that they got the wrong clip for Jalen Hurts because he looks at this and this is. I don't even know if he watched the field goal go through, but
he shook his head because
I don't even think he shook his head. I think he was just.
It was like one of those where he was just like
he had the big like rain jacket over him, and it was just like
people were like he was shaking his head because he didn't want it to like come to that.
Yeah, but it was just it was so funny because again, I didn't expect them to be like high fiving, like,
right?
Because again, it was just the game was tied, but yeah, I think that speaks though to like Jalen Hurts is like he's just like unflappable. Mm-hmm. He just is not someone that I've ever seen really get shaken. I think the only time I've seen that honestly was the Jets game this year, which coincidentally is the only loss. That was the only time I've ever seen him really. It felt like get in his own head a little bit, and part of that too is the Jets defense is great at like forcing turnovers. It's like they're a very good defense, but that's really the only time in this last like year and a half with Jalen Hurts that I feel like like he's off it, like it's just, but it's an amazing thing to have because I think like your mentality or confidence is really important. So
yeah, I mean, big one on deck this week, and what better news to have an Eagles legend announce their retirement as an Eagle, be chosen as an honorary captain, because that is one number 10, Deshaun Jackson, officially announced his retirement today as an Eagle, will be the honorary captain on Sunday, will retire as a Philadelphia Eagle like he should. I think there's no better hype man to have ready for Eagles 49ers than Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah. Fun, electric player. I will always remember the Monday night game. It's funny that game is just like lived on in such a, but it's like that was kind of what he was just like a real. He's like someone that I think in this era, I wonder like if he was in his prime now, I think would be a really interesting player to see. There's a lot of players like that through NFL history now that I think if you plug them in now, maybe things are a little different. Like I think too of like Randall Cunningham today.
Mm-hmm.
He was great in his time, but like just imagine that. Even like someone like Dante Culpepper, like imagine him today, like it's just a even better. I don't know. Like there's a lot of guys that I think, and Deshaun Jackson I think is one that, yeah, if he was in today's, like imagine him on the Dolphins, like, which I mean you can put a lot of receivers on the Dolphins team. I think they do very well because of the system itself, but yeah, he was a special player. So.
I mean, 15 years in the NFL for the style of receiver he was, too. A second-round pick. I mean, played for Andy Reid, Chip, Doug, and caught passes from every Eagles quarterback of our lifetime.
Yeah.
Don McNabb threw him a touchdown pass. Kevin Cobb. Like, not many people caught touchdown passes from Kevin Cobb.
There's a guy that comes to my job all the time with a Kevin Cobb jersey. I'm like, brother, I don't even know how you got that. I didn't even know that you could buy that. Like, I think you had to get that custom.
Easily. Nick Foles, Michael Vick, Carson Wentz, and his last touchdown reception as an Eagle came from Jalen Hurts.
I didn't hear Jeff
Cowboys.
Garcia on that list. So
True. Wasn't in the league yet. Because I think Jeff Garcia was an Eagle 2007. We drafted Deshaun 08.
That was like 06, 07, I think was the Garcia.
Yeah.
Just missed the window.
It's crazy that like he went for like the full on, Infinity Stone gauntlet of Eagles quarterbacks to catch touchdown passes from in his career. And it's very fitting too that, one of the first blunders of Deshaun's career was when he dropped the ball right before crossing the end zone against the Cowboys, and then his final Eagles touchdown was him doing a front flip into the end zone against the Cowboys. Yeah. And I mean, he's a guy that you think like all-time Eagles, like obviously, the Reggie Whites, the Brian Dawkins, they're going to always come up. I think Deshaun made such an impact on the Eagles that like he's right there.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know where he would rank. I think, that's a great call. I'm not sure where he ends up, but he's certainly like for our generation. I think he's such a mainstay too. Mm-hmm. So like he's just always like you said, he transcended so many different eras of like Eagles teams too. So
and like got that second chance at Eagles life when he came back too after. Chip Kelly cuts him.
He was on the Rams, right? Is that where he ended
went
up?
to Washington at first when Chip Kelly cut him when Chip Kelly was the GM, and then he went to Tampa Bay, and then he came back to the Eagles, and then went all over the place. Ended up with the Raiders, the Ravens. Might have ended up with the Rams.
I had a weird memory of him being on the Rams. I know that I remember him on the Ravens for sure, but
yes, he did end up on the Rams. I think that might have been 2021. He was with them, and then he got cut, and then went to the Raiders, and then finished with the Ravens in 2022. Did get a ring, though, with the Rams because he was on the team. So
yeah, respect.
What a career. Shout out to Deshaun Jackson. He's celebrating his birthday this weekend, too, in Philly. So throwing one of those classic Deshaun Jackson parties in the city before he is the honorary captain for the Philadelphia Eagles. Did you see the clip today, Matt, from New Heights with they had breaking news about the Princess Diana replica jacket that Kylie Kelsey wore, and how have you seen like Rob McElhenney was like
bidding on it, right? And he found out it was Caitlin Olsen, his wife, was the other bidder
for $100,000. He was like, my final bid was going to be $62,000 in honor of my favorite Eagles player, number 62, and then I find out that I was outbid by someone for $100,000, and come to find out that person lives with me. And then she just cuts in like Chris Collinsworth sliding in. Jason Kelsey loses his mind. He's like, "Sweetie!"
It's hilarious.
To which then Travis Kelsey, sorry Chiefs fans, dropped a Go Birds.
Yeah. Well, I think I think he'll always have one on us. So
For
that's
now.
fair. For now, yeah, for now.
But yeah, I mean, Eagles 49ers is going to be good. And I do find it pretty interesting. You know, during the offseason when Javon Hargrave left, we were like, how are we going to replace him? And Jalen Carter has just been so good that you almost don't even like feel the absence of Javon Hargrave, who was phenomenal here for 3 years.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, he's been such a high impact rookie and played a lot on Sunday. So looking forward to seeing how I mean, it's going to be a great matchup. I think, you know, like this very well could be like an NFC Championship preview. Like I wouldn't be shocked if these are the I mean, I would say this is probably even the odds-on favorite matchup for that you know, for that final weekend before the Super Bowl. But yeah, I think these are two just great teams. I think, you know, I wouldn't be shocked too if there's another high-scoring game too. Like despite how good like both defenses can be, I think both have like flaws. Like I would not say either defense is perfect. You know, like even the 49ers defense has been pretty susceptible to the pass at times, but I've also seen them in primetime games against big teams really lay it down. You know, they did it to the Cowboys, saw them do it to the Seahawks on Thanksgiving. Admittedly, the Seahawks were a little banged up in that game, but still, like it's a formidable defense for sure. And you know, despite everything, Brock Purdy is somehow still a good quarterback. I don't know. It's just I think we just have to accept that he is what he is at this point, and he is just a good quarterback. I don't know, but yeah, that offense I think is I think the only offense that I'm like truly terrified of when you go up against, like, even the Dolphins, you know, like are scary, right? Because they, you know, they're so explosive, but there's a difference because I think like the 49ers feel so much more systematic than the Dolphins do. Like the Dolphins, it feels like any catch can be an 80-yard touchdown.
Right.
Like they have that just unbelievable explosiveness, but it doesn't feel as streamlined as the 49ers do. There's something about the 49ers that feels so like mechanical and like just everything seems so smooth, so easy, and it does with the Dolphins too, I should say. But like there's something about the 49ers too that like they have so many choices. Like and everyone is so versatile in that team. Like it's a scary thing. And you know, the Eagles defense has not been great. They had to play 92 snaps on Sunday in like insane conditions. So, you know, like it's, you know, a lot of guys coming out of the game with like, you know, a little banged up. And so I think this could be a pretty high scoring game.
And luckily Lane Johnson will be back, and it looks like Dallas Goedert's pushing to play. Don't know if he will. I know I have him in fantasy, and Yahoo switched him from out to questionable for the first time since the injury. So
I remember Sirianni saying the Cowboys game
was like the target for sure.
And with like a forearm thing, like I don't know like what you can really do. You know, like it's not a, I don't know. Can you really catch if you're like if you have some sort of brace on? I guess
because he's missed 2 games, and obviously the bye week helped when the injury happened.
It's 3 weeks now,
so
right?
It's been 3 weeks since the Cowboys game when it happened. So
it depends on like severity of fracture. Like fracture can mean so many different things.
And mobility of his arm post surgery and everything. But they did say that the Cowboys game is the true target, but he's pushing to hopefully be available. But Lane Johnson will be back, which will be huge. Not that, you know, Driscoll played poorly. I mean, there was a couple plays here and there that Jalen had to kind of scramble on his feet, but much better performance from him than in the Jets game, I would say. And, you know, you just got to be able to I think the bigger key in this game is keying in on Christian McCaffrey. Like, the receivers are very good for the 49ers, but I think if your sole focus, like, in stopping their offense is prioritizing getting to Christian McCaffrey, that will help you win this game more so.
I mean, good luck would be my response. I think everyone has that same thought. It's like, yeah, well, he has 100 yards or a touchdown in his last like 30 games. So, you know, it's just no one can really figure out a way. And I think that's the 49ers offense, the one constant of Shanahan's like time there has been, no matter what running back has been in, they've been successful. And then you add in one of the best running backs in the league, and it's just it's a huge advantage that they hold. And I think what's concerning about the Eagles too is like coming into the last few weeks, they had a really good run defense. Like that was the Eagles' best thing. And that's kind of washed away a little bit, especially in that Bills game. Like they were able to get big chunk plays off of like
It's very odd.
That would concern me. For this 49ers game, McCaffrey. You've seen Debo line up in the backfield. He had a big run against Seattle. Like, they have that ability, and I think that is where the Eagles give them problems. But on the opposite side, the 49ers have had trouble stopping the run as well. Like, I think both teams, what they're good at, I think they can really exploit, despite how good some areas of their defense are for both sides. Like, I think both teams can exploit each other.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think it's going to be, again, I think you're seeing, like, probably not too dissimilar from the Bills game, honestly. I think in terms of, like, scoring.
Yeah, I think the points will be there. I don't even know what the over-under is in the game right now.
I would guess it's got to be, like, mid to high 40s. Like, I think
last week with the Bills it was, like, 46.5, I want to say. This week, Eagles 49ers is 47.
Yeah. Which is good. Yeah, I think, to me, that's... I would almost say over that, truthfully. I think you could very, very easily tell me, like... Because I just think the Eagles have, like we've talked about, they have... So I was thinking about this a lot. In, like, board games, like, there's, like, rules on, like, how you win the game, like, depending on what you're playing. Like, the Eagles have the simplest rules to win a game. Like, their win conditions are... There's so many less things they have to do to win games than a lot of other teams. Like, a lot of other teams have to have so many things go right and, like, be executed well. The Eagles, it feels like they don't have... That list is very short for them, so, that's their big advantage. It's like they don't... And even when they face adversity, like, they've been trailing the last 3 of the last 4 games now at halftime.
I think the last...
It's been the last
4?
Yeah, last 4, because I think it was 3 on Sunday. They were saying the last 3 they've trailed at halftime. And, have come back. You don't want to make a habit out of that. And I think that's a concerning thing, but they have shown the ability to adjust through the course of a game and win. Like, that's also valuable. So maybe you put them on fraud watch because they're 7-1 in one-score games, like the Vikings last year. But I think you've seen enough with them, too, that, like, it doesn't feel as fluky, but you can't make a habit of it, right? Like, and this is something that in the regular season maybe you live with, but, if you're going into halftime, down 10, in the late stage of the NFC, like, that's where it gets concerning. But,
like, this year the Eagles have 3 multi-score wins. It's against the Buccaneers in September, against the Rams, where they won by 9, and then against the Dolphins. Yeah, every other game has been by a touchdown or less.
Yeah, and like a lot of them have been really competitive, really close. It's very different from last year where games were over at halftime for the most part. And this team, they're scoring just as well. I think they're averaging a point less per game than they were last year. So still, like, a very good offense, top 5 in a lot of those, like, advanced metrics. Like, I think, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's also a product of you're playing a NFC Champions schedule as well. You're playing the best of the best, and they're going to try to come and bring their best against you because you won your conference last year. You went to the Super Bowl. You were a couple plays here, a sod father away from winning the Super Bowl. So there's definitely, an aspect to that there, that, it wasn't going to be a cakewalk this year with the schedule at all. I also saw news that the Seahawks game in a couple weeks could potentially get flexed to Monday Night Football because the current game scheduled features the Patriots, and who wants to watch them in primetime?
I'm looking at it now for Week 15. It's Chiefs-Patriots on Monday.
Yeah.
And, like, half the slate right now doesn't have times listed either, so there might be
some flexing going on.
You don't want to watch, man, that is a tough one. Cowboys-Bills is that. Yeah, Cowboys-Bills and Eagles-Seahawks are in the same time window. I think they probably make some phone calls about that one. Broncos-Lions, that could be a good one. Broncos, the other hottest team in the NFL besides the Eagles.
Who would have thought?
Truly the Paul Rudd video.
Not me.
Not me. Not any of us. Wait, there's 3. I'm looking at the Christmas.
Yeah.
There's 3 games on Christmas?
Yep, and the Eagles are one of them.
Wow. I knew the Eagles played on Christmas. I didn't realize there was 3. Yeah, we can't wait on Christmas Day to watch Raiders-Chiefs.
Ugh.
And Super Bowl rematch, Ravens-49ers. That'll be good. But yeah, the NFL's getting nice.
Yeah, we get double dose of Philly sports on Christmas this year.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
I don't know. All
I
right.
have this graphic here. It's from Kay Adams' show, Up and Adams, that she does. So there's 4 kickers here, Matt. 58-yard or more field goals career stats. I'm going to read the stats blindly. You tell me which kicker you'd rather have. So first kicker in 58-plus yard field goals in their career, 0 for 2. Second one, 3 for 17, which is a 17.6% make rate.
That's going to be Justin Tucker, isn't it?
The next one is 3 for 13 for a 23.1% make rate. And then the next one is 4 for 4 at 100%.
I'm going to be honest, the last one was Jake Elliott.
That's correct.
I think the 3 for 17 would be Tucker because I feel like he's tried it the most.
3 for 17 is Sebastian Janikowski.
Oh, that makes sense. Is Tucker on that list at all?
Justin Tucker is 3 for 13 in his career from 58+.
Who's 0 for
Adam
2?
Vinatieri.
Really? That's interesting. I guess honestly, like the one thing I've definitely noticed is like kicking from distance is way more common now. Like it's a weird thing because I think people go for it more, but yet like they're more a 59-yard field goal like 10 years ago was an insane distance. Like guys pretty regularly now, like a 48-yard field goal now feels like what a 35 used to feel. You know, like I will say like it's like how now like in the NBA there's like a bunch of guys average like 23 a night. It's like 15 years ago that's like you're an all-star, all-NBA. Like it's just I think there's a little bit of inflation. So I guess that doesn't surprise me because like going for that long was just not a thing.
There's like 3 guys who I think started the trend of like the long kicking. It was like Matt Prater for sure.
Yeah.
Brandon McManus was doing it in Denver.
Yeah. Well, they always talk about the mile high. Like it gave you a little extra.
He was like always booting like long ones.
Yeah.
And
I think Tucker's like all about like because he hit last year he hit like 65, right?
So, yeah.
He broke the record,
which is insane.
It is. I think I wouldn't be surprised. Like I heard someone talk about this once. If there was a kicker that could like reliably hit from like 75 yards, where would they go in the draft? You know, like where, like how, like what kind of advantage is that?
Yeah.
And like I don't know whatever let's say you just gave me those numbers where like from 58 you're 3 for 13, right? So what? Let's say you're
25%.
Let's say you're 40%.
Okay.
From like 75. And you know, like I'm sure at like 68, you know, you're at like let's say like 54. You know, like where's a guy like that go? Like that's a huge advantage knowing, let's say you're the Bills on Sunday night at this point, and you have 20 seconds, and you just have to get to your own 45. You know, like that would be something. And I wonder if we'll ever get to that point. If there is,
because I mean, guys now like just in warm-ups are kicking like 70-yard field goals just to warm up their legs.
Yeah, so
that would be interesting. I feel like I don't know if they'd crack the first round, but I feel like some teams would consider it.
I think they'd be in a first. I think they'd be a first-round pick. I really do. I think like there's kickers that go in like the second and third that aren't doing that. You know, like if there was a guy legitimately that was like capable of doing that, I wouldn't even be surprised if they were like near the top 10. I really think it would be such like kickers last for
it's worth the gamble.
16 years. Like, you know, imagine having all that. I don't know.
Hopefully in this game against the 49ers, Brian Johnson will realize that DeAndre Swift is the running back that you need to use to win the game.
Yeah, that'd be.
It was very evident in this one. Sure, Kenny Gainwell had some moments, but my goodness, does the Eagles' backfield and running game look so much different when DeAndre Swift is carrying the ball versus anybody else?
Yeah, he's electric. He's unbelievable.
Like,
truly.
His vision compared to what it was in Detroit the past couple of years is night and day, and I'm sure, you know, part of that is running behind the Eagles' offensive line versus the Lions' offensive line in the past couple of years, but, man, like, use DeAndre Swift because as soon as the Eagles started using him, it felt like momentum swung in their favor late in that game, and it was able to kind of give them better field position and set things up for touchdowns. Like, he sets up the Jalen Hurts game-winning touchdown in overtime. So hopefully Brian Johnson wakes up and realizes DeAndre Swift is the answer, and you don't really need to utilize anybody else when they're running the ball. If you want to pass the ball to Kenny Gainwell, sure. But I think you got to run the ball with Swift, especially in this game. The Philly special, Christmas special, is out. Looks very entertaining. The clip that I've just seen running around is calling for Saint Nick, and then Nick Foles pops up.
Nice cameo.
I feel like, and the clip today, I don't know if you saw, Jordan Davis has pipes unbeknownst to man. He's on the new album that's coming out this year, and I feel like almost everybody on the Eagles can sing.
Yeah, which is a weird thing. I don't know. That's a weird crossover that I didn't expect to ever really have, but
at all.
Here we are.
Team talent. But yeah, Eagles 49ers should be good on Sunday, 4:25. I saw a lot of people complaining too. They're like, why isn't this the Sunday night game? It's because it's like the game of the week type thing that they do for every NFL weekend. And it's going to be perfectly fine. And you don't have to be up until 11:30 at night waiting for the game to end.
Yeah. I hate late games.
It's brutal. Still have 4 more weeks until our next 1 o'clock game.
I don't mind the 4:25 like that. And I also think too, like when the lights come on, it feels a little more dramatic. I don't mind that, but yeah, Sunday Night Football, I can do the first half.
Yeah,
and then I'm out.
Next 1 o'clock game is,
and that's also having watched football for 7 hours. Commercial-free football.
Salute to our guy, Scott Hansen.
So yeah, I was like doing like homework all day Sunday, and Sarah was on the couch, and I heard that alarm, and I thought it was a car alarm, and I was like, man, whose like car is going off right now? Like, that's a weird alarm too. And then I heard it again, and Sarah like looked at me, she's like, what alarm is going off right now? I was like, I have no idea. And then Scott Hansen's like, there's an alarm going off in the red zone offices. I was like, it's from the TV. Like, it's the TV studio and we were trying to figure out what alarm it was. She's like, that's not a fire alarm. Like, I have no idea what alarm that was.
Yeah, he had no clue, and then was directed that it was okay for him to stay in the studio. And then I saw like somebody from the production team for Red Zone quote tweeted like the clip of it and was like, we have like a bullpen ready to go in, I think it's like Secaucus or something. Like, one of the NFL film studio has like a backup if anything goes wrong with Red Zone during the main broadcast at their studio. The NFL film studio can tap in and keep Red Zone going.
Okay. Well, I was worried. I was worried for this. I was like, man, this is... Don't let anything bad happen to Scott Hansen.
Football guy.
It's honestly. He's like, I'm just going to hang in the pocket.
Plenty of time to throw.
Unbelievable.
Unreal. But yeah, salute to one of our white whale guests, Scott Hansen. Football this week, though, should be pretty entertaining across the board. I mean, Eagles 49ers is easily game of the week. But you have upcoming this week, you have Seahawks Cowboys on Thursday Night Football. Let's go Seahawks. You have Lions Saints. Lions trying to eliminate the Saints potentially from playoff contention. You have a pretty big one in terms of AFC implications because you have the frisky Washington Commanders playing the Dolphins. And then, unfortunately, Monday Night Football kind of got ruined with Joe Burrow's injury because Bengals-Jaguars would have been awesome on Monday night.
Yeah, would have been, but that's life.
Texans-Broncos also going to be very fun.
Yeah, which I don't think anyone would have said even, 7 weeks ago.
Yeah, even a month ago.
Yeah.
And then the most mid-off game, Chargers-Patriots.
The Bill Belichick Bowl? Bill Belichick next head coach of the Chargers.
I've seen so many teams mentioned with Bill Belichick's name that I don't even know where he would go if he left the Patriots.
I would not hire him.
I've seen Chargers,
shot.
Commanders.
No.
Me personally, from a selfish perspective, I want to see him just leave football and go coach in the PLL.
Yeah. It's just he I don't know how you possibly let him into like I just as great as he was, like he clearly doesn't have it anymore. Like it's just and that happens. I don't know how you let him work with a young quarterback again. Because Mac Jones like was not this bad as a rookie. He was like a fine rookie quarterback. He was the best rookie quarterback out of that draft his rookie year. Now that was because Trevor Lawrence had Urban Meyer like fingering people's butts like instead of coaching. But like honestly, like he was like a good rookie quarterback. There was promise there, and it's been completely awful since then. I refuse to believe that is all Mac Jones. Mac Jones probably shoulders some of that blame, but I think there's like the dude has not evaluated talent well in like a decade at this point. It was like even like in the last few years of Brady, it had already been bad for multiple years. It was just Brady was so good that you could overcome that, and it's like special team stuff is like where they're like sucking to, which is like his like bread and butter. It's bizarre, and I just
that's his son that runs that.
Which like again is like it's just this weird boys club, and I think that always just goes wrong.
And the Panthers fired 3 Philadelphia legends this past week. Frank Reich ousted, Deuce Staley ousted, Josh McCown ousted.
Yeah, well, that is just I condolences to every Panthers fan because that is unimaginable hell.
I had the only Panthers fan I know, the only Panthers fan we know, Mike Ostrowski, text me on Sunday and said, "There's a very real possibility that come next football season, I'm wearing midnight green."
I don't even blame anyone like for being like I'm not doing this. Like it sucks. Your like entire future is just absolutely ash. Like at the moment, it's unbelievable. That might go down as the worst trade in sports history. Like honestly, like you've already missed out. You chose to walk away from. You had the choice, right? And I know people are like in love with CJ Stroud. He's been great, but like we don't know what he's it. But at that moment, that looks like a huge misstep.
Yes,
in choosing Bryce Young over CJ Stroud. Not only that, you would have had the opportunity at least to do a Cardinals Kyler Murray situation and like immediately be like, we fucked up. We made the wrong choice. We are moving on. And now, yeah, I can't pretend like I know a lot about Caleb Williams and Drake May. Like I haven't like done that in depth about them, but from everything I hear from draft people, like these are 2 like very highly rated quarterback prospects. But you could have had your choice between them too, and it's
also rough that you're entering a draft where arguably the best prospect is wide receiver.
Right, like like skill position would have been like a nice thing. There's a great left tackle in this draft. Like there was a lot. It's just
since you traded your star receiver to get the number 1 pick.
It's absolutely brutal.
I've seen this swirling around a lot too. Of any of those 3 that were fired from the Panthers, would you, if you're the Eagles, obviously knowing your history with them, would you bring them in kind of like Vic Fangio style, like last year as like consultant type stuff?
I think Frank Reich is.
I think the only one I would consider would be Deuce Staley.
Yeah, maybe, but I think
just
what the Eagles
because
have is a good formula, and I think Frank Reich is maybe washed. I don't know. Maybe he might just be one of these guys that's not a head coach, And there are a lot of guys like that just.
I think it's 2 stops that have proven that now. That I think he's just a better suited as an offensive coordinator.
Right, 100%.
Also felt bad for Josh McCown because like it's his first job like
what
ever.
What do you say? Fuck me for
right. Brutal, absolutely brutal. I think the worst game of the week this week though is Falcons Jets.
Yeah, that's
at MetLife.
That's a pretty hard one to watch.
But Jets fans rejoice. 21-day practice window opened up for Mr. Ayahuasca.
What a load of like absolute horseshit. I cannot believe that we're pretending like Aaron Rodgers is going to be back playing football. I'm going to be honest. If he plays quarterback, everyone involved with the Jets, I'm not going to say what I really feel, but you could read between the lines. They should honestly never be allowed to work in the NFL again.
No.
The malpractice of allowing a guy coming like 3 months off of an Achilles tear at 39
And say what
years
you want
old.
about Aaron Rodgers, but like that's crazy.
It's more than crazy. It's not reality. Like there's no. And again, if he comes back, he shouldn't. It's
No.
dumb. The season is gone. It's over. There's nothing to play for. It's actually, even if you come back 100% healthy at this point, you're not making the playoffs. You might as well, because you have your first round pick, get as good of a pick as you can, and add, say, an offensive tackle in this first round
To protect him for next year.
to ensure that he doesn't, because your offensive line outside of everything else has been terrible this year. So, man, I just cannot believe that we're having to listen to this.
There was a notification that went out on Sleeper that our guy Pat Pitts posted, or quote tweeted, I should say. I want to find it here because it's quite true. It's quite true. Sleeper put out, Aaron Rodgers said that a return this season will depend on both his health and the Jets' playoff possibilities. He said that on the Pat McAfee show. And Pitsy tweeted, breaking, Rodgers will not return to the Jets this season. Please credit us. We broke that news. I mean, the Jets are 4-7. There's no, with the way the AFC is,
They're not making the playoffs.
like the Dolphins are 8-3, the Chiefs are 8-3, Ravens are 9-3, the Steelers and Browns are 7-4, the Jaguars are 8-3, the Colts are 6-5 and alive in the postseason.
Like you're
The Bills are 6-6 and are the 10 seed.
I can't listen to it. I can't do it.
The Broncos have a better shot at making the playoffs than the Jets.
Yeah.
Maybe Sean Payton was right about Nathaniel Hackett.
He was. He was. You're just not supposed to say. It's just kind of mean to say. He was. Everyone got like so upset about
So
what he
upset.
said. It was a. Here's the thing. Sean Payton is a scumbag.
Yes.
So everyone is like, it's an easy thing to get like mad at him about. And it's like it's uncalled for, like because we all know. But you don't have to point it out because
It's like that Stephen A. Smith clip. Now let's be nice. You don't have to say that, but
Right.
let's be nice.
right. Like at the end of the day, yeah, Nate has, and like I think he just also shoulder some blame for how the Jets' offenses look this year. Like is Zach Wilson good? No, but his offense has been terrible outside of that. And this is also what happens too when you hire a bunch of dudes' best friends, like Alan Lazard, who was a scratch over
Randall
the weekend,
Cobb.
and they got him for another 3 years, for like $12 million a year.
No
Awesome.
thanks.
And that's the price you pay. But like they obviously couldn't anticipate him tearing his Achilles, 2 minutes into his debut. But it's tough. It's the most Jets thing to ever happen, I think. The most Jets thing to happen would be that he actually came back fully healed, miraculous, and they like lose the most heartbreaking Super Bowl loss you've ever seen in your life. Like that would actually be, I think, the most Jets thing.
That would feed families.
Yeah.
If you're a team next offseason, because you brought up two quarterbacks that are starting in the AFC East right now that will more than likely not be starting for their current teams, who would you rather have as backup, Zach Wilson or Mac Jones?
Neither. I'd rather have no backup. I'd rather pull someone out of the stands. Both of them honestly seem.
Who do you think is the more, I should say, maybe not back, but who do you think is the more salvageable
Mac
to
Jones.
like?
Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones or something there, but he has this like attitude thing. Like,
Yeah.
I think part of that is his competitiveness. He has a competitive edge. I don't think Zach has a competitive edge.
Unless there are moms around.
But like, I don't see it from him. Like Mac Jones, you see it.
Mhm.
He's a Duke basketball player.
Yes.
Like he just is. Like,
He
but,
is
but
Grayson
you
Allen.
know that he's like
A dickhead.
And that's what's so weird about him this year is like it doesn't feel like he just feels totally lost of confidence. As a backup, I think he'd be fine. Like yeah,
He's
Zach
a guy that
Wilson
needs to go to like Detroit.
Zach Wilson is truly
A
like,
lost cause.
You are giving a monkey the TV remote. Like it is. There's no order or control there.
Mac Jones needs to go to like Detroit or somewhere with like a like fun but like gritty type of coach to fit his personality, because he truly is, like you say, he's a Duke basketball player.
He'll
He's
end
a
up on the
dickhead.
fucking 49ers like they wanted
yeah.
from the beginning, and that's how it'll all work out.
Gotta love that. Or he'll end up with the Rams with Sean McVay, and he'll like whisper in his ear, "Hey, just be yourself," and then he'll fucking return to form when Matthew Stafford's done. But yeah, NFL Week 13 is gonna be one for the books. Let's switch to the hardwood here, the Sixers. It's brought to you by our pals at Kenwood Beer, where you can get Kenny's at the Wells Fargo Center. You can get them at kenwoodbeer.com by using the Kenny Finder to see who's got Kenwood Beer on tap in the Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Maryland areas in your local liquor stores. It's 4.1% ABV, just 120 calories, only 8 grams of carbs. They got new pint glasses out on their website this holiday season as well that look absolutely fantastic. That's kenwoodbeer.com. You got to be 21 or older to do so, and of course, please drink responsibly. The in-season tournament, this, and this had to happen. Quickly came to an end, so the Sixers officially eliminated.
We were close.
We were close.
Yeah, we were close. We were really close. If just like 7 more things went our way, we were right there.
It was like 44-6 Eagles-Cowboys in 2008 on crack. But a good win over the Lakers on Monday, 138-94.
Worst loss of LeBron's career.
Hate to see it.
Should have came here.
Should have just joined up. I mean, who knows? Joel and Tyrese both with 30+. Joel with a casual triple-double. I mean, we've said it since the beginning of the season when things started to kind of look like Sixers were thriving. It's amazing what good coaching can do.
Yeah, and playing everyone like 800 minutes a night. You have to dial that back a little bit. Tyrese Maxey gonna be. He's like that. When the Popeyes chicken sandwich came out, and there's the picture of the worker like outside.
Jimmy
the
Butler
bench.
in the bubble.
Yeah, I mean honestly.
I also love Nick Nurse's comments about why we didn't play well in the in-season tournament. He said he's blaming it on the court. One of us.
Unbelievable.
They play the Pelicans tonight at 8 o'clock in New Orleans. Sixers sitting at 12-5 this season in a virtual tie record-wise with who would have thunk the Orlando Magic.
Yeah, quite a little bit of a renaissance in Orlando of all places. They'll fall off. But maybe not. Wagner's really good. Where's be kicking themselves they skipped over him?
I saw the fun workaround too about the Fultz trade, where we were rooting for the pick swap for years. Pick swap happens, we draft Fultz, Celtics draft Tatum, but then we make the old trade with the Magic to send Fultz to Orlando for a fake pick until it conveys top 20 protected. Shout out Mike Muscala. So effectively, we got the pick swap for Tyrese Maxey,
which is looking pretty okay.
Worked out for both teams in the end. Celtics are 14-4, Bucks are 13-5, and then the Sixers and the Magic are 12-5. And right now, that kind of feels like the 4 top dogs in the Eastern Conference. Kind of falls off after that to the Knicks and Pacers, Heat in the 7 seed, Cavs in the 8 seed, Nets and Hawks swinging around there towards the bottom of the play-in tournament if the playoffs started today. But Sixers just hanging around and doing what they got to do to, stay atop the Eastern Conference and just playing good basketball. And it's funny how getting your expectations killed completely, and then this team just getting rid of the one toxic guy on the team, and then they start playing well and vibes are good. Just feels like things were elevated to above expectation, when in reality it's this is what it should have been the entire time.
Yeah. I'm not doing this myself, so I'll watch. I will root for them, but I have my guard up. I'm not getting sucked back in again. They've been a good team, and I think definitely, like you said, getting rid of Doc Rivers is nice, and definitely seeing a little bit of a Tyrese jump, which is a lot of fun. And Embiid is still playing at MVP level. There's lots of good there, and I think it's a deep team. Batum has been great.
Mm-hmm.
It's unbelievable. He's everything we were kind of hoping for in a lot of role players we've had over the last few years. He's filled in really well, and I'm optimistic. Not bought in yet. It's gonna take a lot to buy me in.
Yeah, 100%. So we'll see how they play against the Pelicans tonight. And then they get the Celtics again for the 3rd time this season on December 1st. So let's shift gears, though. talk about our partners over at FOCO this holiday season. Gear up with the Forever Collectibles for your loved ones, your friends, and family. FOCO is just dedicated to priceless and amazing collectibles, from bobbleheads. You saw the overalls. They got the Eagles ones now. If you want to gear up for Eagles season and Eagles playoffs with the overalls, go get them. They've got Santa hats, too, if you want to celebrate the holiday season. Click the link in our description. Go check out our partners over at FOCO. They are the best in the game. Shout out to FOCO for sponsoring the pod. The Union met in unceremonious exit from the postseason from the team that they just simply don't have an answer for, and potentially got screwed by an offside call that wasn't called.
Yeah. It's frustrating, I think, because the technology is there for these kind of things, but they didn't have the right camera angle, and people shown the camera angle and done like the math, and he was offside at the time of the ball being played. And I think what frustrates me about that is, like, you know, we have all these technologies, all these ways of reviewing stuff now, but you still have mistakes like that because of whatever, in like a high stakes situation. That's frustrating as a fan, I think, to take. And listen, like I've seen a lot of arguments. Well, it was only 3 inches. Like, offside is a binary thing. Like, you are either on or offside, right? Like that with the way the rules are now. Like, they're gonna, you know, in the future they're gonna change the rule about the distance and how much. But like right now, any amount of a playable part of your body, if it is even an inch, is offside. Like, it's non-negotiable. So that's frustrating because I feel like the Union hung in that game pretty well. And I think part of it too is, like, you had to wait so long for this game, and it was such a long layoff, and I think the quality of the game really suffered for it as well. Neither of these teams are known for playing like breathtaking stuff to begin with, but yeah, the playoff format's got to obviously get a change because it's an insane amount of time to not play.
Do you think it changes this offseason?
I think it has to. I really think it has to. If not, I think it's a huge problem going forward because it's way too long of a layoff. 3 weeks is a long time to not play
for any sport.
Yeah, like, it's just not, and it's not even like you can really do much in because it's in between the international break. Like, guys are away, and like this is the time. So like late November, this international break is when any type of qualifying is happening. This is usually the last qualifying. So like, there are meaningful games that guys are playing. Like, it's stupid, especially, you know, with MLS where you have so many guys going to like CONCACAF and stuff, like or you're going to like South America where the travel is insane, and you're playing like you can play in Bolivia in the mountains, and then like at sea level somewhere. Like, it's crazy. It's a really bad format, and I hope that gets changed for next year.
And, you know, it also sucks that, you know, trying to tune into the game as somebody who wants to, you know, watch their team play, a playoff game being behind a paywall blows.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. The Apple TV stuff, I have like mixed feelings about, and just in general, I just think putting like a growing sport and league behind a paywall, that isn't like, it
stunts the growth.
It does. Like, I've never in my life paid for NBA Pass, right?
No.
I've never in my life paid for the NFL Sunday ticket. I've like for hockey, for baseball, like, it's just not worth it to me. And when you put all of the games behind that, like, it sucks. Now they do like 2 or 3 games each week are the free broadcast, which I like, and I've watched a lot of the free broadcasts, but I want to watch Union. Like, every other week the Union were a free game, and if not, I'd have to go back and like rewatch highlights or rewatch the game, and it's just, that sucks. I'm not, and it's pretty pricey too.
Yeah,
it's like $100 for the season pass, and I just don't find that that's worth it, unfortunately. So
yeah, it's brutal. Something's got to be fixed there for sure going into this offseason. But what do you think happens with the Union this offseason?
I think this is the last time we see a lot of this team. Kai Wagner, before his whole debacle, was already probably gone. I would be surprised if in any way he's back, especially considering all that stuff. Yeah, I think there's probably a few guys that might not be on this roster next year. It's going to be a weird turnover year. Curtin, maybe, you know, like, he's been someone that last offseason there were rumors about maybe going somewhere. We'll see. Like, I think it's going to be a transition offseason for the Union. I hope they spend some money because, listen, what they've done is really impressive. Like when they've, they're in like the bottom third of the league in terms of money spent and payroll, and like that's impressive that you're getting the results you are. But like teams are spending a lot now, and like the East especially is very competitive. I think you need to spend money if you want to keep up, and we'll see what happens with Bedoya. Even like it's just there's lots of questions.
Jim Curtin's comments about Bedoya.
Yeah, and like that to me says like there's I think a lot of pieces in transition, which isn't a bad thing necessarily either. Like I don't think like squad turnover is very normal in this sport. Like it's very rare to have the run that the Union have had over the last 3-4 seasons with so many of the same faces. For the most part, there's been 5, 6, 7 guys that have been a part of it. A few have like shifted in and out, and you've had arrivals and things, right, that have made the difference. But for the most part, there's like been a core of this team that has been together for a while now. And that's really not common. You usually get like 3 years. 3-year windows are very common in soccer, like around the world. So, yeah.
Who do you think who would you say like your top 3 that you say wouldn't be going anywhere would be?
I think Blake. I think Glesnes, and man, Ura's probably back. But like Gazdag like could be gone. Like he was someone that I think there's rumors about last year. Like there's just talking about a lot of shoes to fill potentially.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens with the Union. But make sure you guys are following us on the socials at Underground PHI, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Facebook.com/UndergroundSportsPHI, Twitch.tv/UndergroundSportsPHI. You can follow Matt on Twitter at Matt Castorina. You can follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the podcast feed on Apple, Spotify. Send us your Spotify Wrapped. Matt, I know it's your favorite time of the year. You love Spotify Wrapped.
I do. It's just truly a wonder, and I think this year was just some of the best work that they've done, and I love seeing what I listen to. I love seeing what everybody listens to. So, big Spotify Wrapped guy.
What was your top 5?
My top 5 was MGMT, which is not surprising at all. This is my favorite bands. Number 2 is Mac Miller, which I love Mac Miller. I did not realize that I had listened to him as much as I had this year. But there's a few Mac Miller songs that are just in a constant rotation. Taylor Swift at number 3 for me. It's a big Swift year for me. Bon Iver at 4. That's like my chill sleep music, so that's also not surprising. And Third Eye Blind, another one of my favorite bands. This is the first year in a while that One Kiss by Dua Lipa was not my top 8 song. A few MGMT songs came in above that, but yeah.
I'm an Apple Music user, so I got my replay today. I don't know how, but I think it's from listening to Nick Cassiano's walk-up song during the playoffs. Drake was my number 5. Lil Uzi Vert was number 4. Jelly Roll made it into my top 3. Arctic Monkeys were number 2, and then AJR was number 1 on there. It's kind of cool. I don't know if Spotify does more than 5. Apple does top 15 and bases it off like the minutes you listen to them.
Yeah.
So you got a top 15 there, which is pretty cool. But yeah, send us your Spotify Wrapped for music, for podcasts. Let us know if we made it into your Spotify Wrapped. We love seeing that kind of stuff. And of course, subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia. Let's get to 650 subscribers before the end of the month. And this show is presented by the City of Vineland. And whether you're a company looking to expand, relocate, or you're a new business startup, selecting the right location is critical to your success. Vineland, New Jersey offers both an affordable business location and an excellent quality of life. The city's economic development department is a one-stop source for moving your project through the development and approval process, and their goal is to make this process as smooth as possible and to provide the fastest turnaround times in the region. If you're considering potential locations for your operation, contact the Vineland Economic Development Team at 856-794-4100. That's 856-794-4100. Vineland, New Jersey, where it's always growing season. And big thank you to Security 21 Security Systems and Paul J. Gillespie Incorporated for their continued support of this podcast. This has been episode number 590 of Underground Sports Philadelphia. From Matt and KB, we'll catch you guys after Eagles 49ers on Sunday with myself and Pat Pitts. But until then, we're getting the heck up out of here, and we are signing off. Peace.